The content of this podcast is provided for general informational purposes only and is not intended as, nor should it be considered a substitute for professional medical advice. Hey there, this is Karen Nickel, family nurse practitioner, and you are listening to Itchy and Bitchy, a podcast that provides answers to your many unanswered health questions. Before I get started, I want to remind you about my course called The Perimenopause Answer. If you are going through this phase in life called perimenopause, or if you're not sure if you're in perimenopause, I would love to have the opportunity to talk to you about the course to see if it's the right fit for you. I've enjoyed so much getting to know many of you, and I'm so grateful to you for listening to and sharing the podcast. There is a link on our website, itchyandbitchy.com, and our Facebook page, IMB Podcast, where you can schedule an appointment for a Zoom call with me. It's a Zoom call with me. When you make an appointment, I will be sitting at my desk waiting for you to join the one-on-one Zoom call. I did an episode a year ago about heat exhaustion and heat stroke. And with the Earth's temperature continuing to rise and the recent record-breaking temps across this country, I felt this is a very good episode to repeat to remind everyone of the measures you can take to beat the heat and how to help yourself or someone else who is experiencing heat exhaustion or heat stroke. On Monday, July 8th, 2024, more than 150 million Americans were under extreme heat advisories, watches, or warnings. That is almost half the people living in the U.S. In Phoenix, which saw a record high of 118 degrees Fahrenheit by 3 p.m. on Friday, July 5th, 2024, this temp broke the record for the daily high of 116 that was set in 1983. At the time of the airing of this episode, Metro Phoenix's high temperatures were expected to be in the 107 to 114 degrees Fahrenheit range for the next 10 days with no rain in sight. On July 7th, 2024, Las Vegas recorded its highest temperature when it reached 120 degrees Fahrenheit. It was also the first time Las Vegas had 5 consecutive days with temperatures greater than 115 degrees Fahrenheit. It was 129.3 degrees Fahrenheit on July 7th, 2024 in Furnace Creek, California, an aptly named town with a population of 136 people that is located in the Death Valley National Park. The extreme heat wave in Death Valley is blamed for the death of a motorcyclist last weekend. The Pacific Northwest has been hit with triple-digit temperatures all week, and this summer we've also had triple-digit temperatures in the Northeast and Southeast. The entire country has been experiencing rising temperatures, and there doesn't seem to be an end in sight anytime soon. So here's the episode. Since we are all trying to beat the heat this summer, I thought that reviewing information about heat exhaustion and heat stroke would be helpful to all of our itchy and bitchy listeners. Heat is the number one cause of death due to weather-related events. Heat causes more death than hurricanes, wind, floods, lightning, cold, rip currents, and tornadoes. We are seeing more and more heat-related deaths as our planet heats up. So what happens to us when the human body is exposed to extreme heat? As you know, the body is an amazing organism, and it has 2 important ways to cool down when your body has extreme heat exposure. The first mechanism is sweat. Sweat glands on the skin secrete sweat, and when it evaporates off the body, it cools the skin down. I'm sure many of you have experienced this benefit. Increased blood flow is the second mechanism. The brain redirects blood flow from the core of the body to the skin, where heat can be released. The evaporating sweat helps cool the blood in the skin, and that cooled blood is recirculated into the internal organs and cools down the body core. There are 2 factors that can disrupt this natural cooling process in your body. First, when the temperature outside your body is hotter than your skin temperature, which is around 95 degrees. So if the temperature outside is over 95 degrees or inside is over 95 degrees, your skin will take in heat versus releasing heat into the atmosphere. Also, if it's too humid, the sweat on your skin can't evaporate to provide cooling, so the body no longer has that cooling mechanism. So what does your body do when these processes are no longer working because it's too hot or too humid or both? The heart works a lot harder because the heart rate increases in an effort to push more blood out to the skin to cool the body. However, when this happens, the blood pressure drops because as the blood gets pushed to the wider surface area of the skin to provide that cooling, the blood pressure gets weaker and weaker as it gets moved out to further areas of the body. The drop in blood pressure is a common cause of injuries because people get dizzy or lightheaded when they sit up or stand up when the blood pressure is low. And dizziness is an early sign of the body overheating. The increased heart rate can really tax the heart. So if someone has a pre-existing heart condition, it can be fatal. Heat exhaustion, otherwise known as heat stress, is the first problem that can begin when getting overheated. And during heat exhaustion, the internal temp in the body rises to 100 up to 103 degrees. And the symptoms that occur in heat exhaustion include fatigue and poor muscle function. These are early symptoms, and they're messages from your brain to tell you to rest and cool down. Find a shady spot, find some air conditioning, sit down and rest. The other symptoms of heat exhaustion include nausea, feeling faint or having a sense that you're going to black out, sweating profusely from many areas of the body, moist, cool, or cold skin coupled with goosebumps, even in extreme heat, a pulse rate that becomes weak or rapid, headache, and muscle cramping. I have a dear friend who had many of these symptoms last summer. The most concerning for her was a severe headache. She went to her doctor's office to find out what was going on. They did some blood work. One of the tests was an inflammatory marker called CRP, C-reactive protein, and that was quite elevated. They weren't sure what was going on, and so no diagnosis was made or treatment initiated. When she didn't have answers and was quite concerned about the symptoms, she called me. When she told me what she was experiencing, I said that what she described was consistent with heat exhaustion. I asked her about her activities prior to the onset of her symptoms, and she said she had played pickleball for several hours during the heat of the day. I instructed her to increase her hydration to an amount that is half her body weight in ounces of fluid. So, as an example, if someone is 150 pounds, that means 75 ounces of fluid a day. I also told her to include electrolyte drinks containing sodium as part of her fluid replacement. I often recommend Noon sports tabs, that's spelled N-U-U-N sports tabs, that contain roughly 15 calories and 2 grams of carbohydrates, 13 milligrams of calcium, 300 milligrams of sodium, 150 milligrams of potassium, 25 milligrams of magnesium, and 40 milligrams of chloride in each tab. Most sports drinks are high in sugar and don't contain sodium, which is a key electrolyte to replace if you're sweating a lot. So Noon sports tabs are a good option. In addition to hydrating, I told her to stay in air conditioning to avoid heat exposure and to rest her body by avoiding exercise. I also instructed her to use ice packs to her neck, forehead, and or wrists. She implemented all of those measures and recovered within a day. She was advised by me to report to the ER if her symptoms didn't resolve with these measures, since heat exhaustion can easily progress to heat stroke, which is a medical emergency. I also reviewed with her ways to avoid heat exhaustion in the future, including hydrating before during, and after exercise, and to watch for early signs and symptoms of the body overheating when she is participating in outdoor exercise during hot weather, or avoid outdoor exercise altogether when the outdoor temperature is greater than her skin temp of 95 degrees Fahrenheit. If she experiences these symptoms of heat exhaustion in the future, I told her to take the following measures. Cool the body down by moving to a shady area or to a place with air conditioning. Of course, stop the exercise if you're exercising or whatever activity. Drink water or a beverage with electrolytes like Noon Tabs, which you can just drop into your bottle of water and that will help you hydrate. If possible, have someone else bring you a drink while you rest. If you're wearing tight, confining clothing, loosen or remove it. Remove heavy clothing or accessories, and apply ice packs or towels soaked in cold water to your body, placing these on your forehead, your wrists, the back of your neck, or under your arms. Those can be particularly effective places for cooling the blood. Coming up after this break, I will discuss the difference between heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Stay with me. Welcome back, everyone. As promised, I'm going to talk to you about the difference between heat exhaustion and heat stroke. The body does a really good job to try to cool you off, but if these mechanisms to cool down start to fail, the body temperature continues to rise. As I mentioned before, heat exhaustion occurs when the body temperature is 100 to 103 degrees Fahrenheit. Heat stroke occurs when the body temperature reaches 104 degrees Fahrenheit. At this point, multi-organ failure can happen. It's serious business. The organs that are affected first are the heart, kidneys, gut, and brain. You know, your heart is pumping very hard to help cool you off. And as the heart rate increases, I mentioned before that the blood pressure drops, and as a result, oxygen is not getting to the organs, including the heart itself. The kidneys are impacted because the brain sends a signal to the body to send less blood to the kidneys to slow the dumping of liquid via urine in order to preserve as much liquid as possible. But the kidneys begin to fail due to the reduced blood flow, resulting in reduced oxygen to the kidneys. In an effort to cool your skin, blood is diverted from the gut, decreasing oxygen to the gut. And when that happens, the gut starts to fail and leaky gut occurs, which is when bacteria leaks from the gut, and it can cause sepsis, which is an infection all over your body because the infection occurs in the bloodstream. Once the brain is affected, things get really dire. The body's internal thermometer is in the part of the brain called the hypothalamus. Once this part of the brain is infected, the cooling mechanism message from the brain shuts down and the body temperature continues to rise. The skin gets clammy and cool and delirium begins. The fastest way to cool people off in this situation when someone's got heat stroke symptoms is to give them an ice bath. And this is what they use in the ER to cool people down, a modified ice bath. Some people may be concerned that it could be dangerous to do something that causes a rapid drop in body temp, but the overheating of the body is more dangerous than the rapid cooling treatment. The best thing to do is to cool the body down as fast as possible, and an ice bath will do just that. If you are helping someone who has symptoms of heat stroke, you can provide body cooling using the techniques recommended by UpToDate. UpToDate is an evidence-based, physician-authored clinical knowledge system that is frequently updated and used by many clinicians, including myself, to help provide the appropriate care for their patients. So, if you are helping somebody with heat stroke, the first thing to do is to contact emergency medical services immediately. Before starting an ice bath, assess the person's airway and circulation. Make sure they are breathing and have a pulse. Move that person to a shaded area. Half fill a tub or a wading pool with water and ice. Ice should cover the surface of the water at all times. So you should have floating ice over the entire surface of the water at all times. Cover as much of the body as possible, but not the head, with ice water. If complete coverage is not possible, cover the torso as much as possible. We want to get to that core of the body. Keep the neck and head above the water and place a towel soaked in ice water over the head and neck while the body is being cooled. Do not block the airway. Keep the towel off the nose and the mouth. You want to vigorously circulate the water throughout the cooling process. So stir the water around while you're cooling this person. If ice water immersion is not feasible, given the constraints of the environment, if you're in a place where that just is not possible, you don't have a tub, you don't have a wading pool, then cool the person using the best available means. These may include any of the following 3 methods. One is to fill a cooler with ice, water, and 12 towels. Place 6 icy wet towels all over the person's body, leaving them in place for 2 to 3 minutes. Then place those back into the cooler and replace them with the other 6 towels that have been in the cooler. Continue this rotation every 2 to 3 minutes. Again, don't put the towels over the nose and mouth. The other option is to douse the patient continuously with cold water using a shower or a hose. The third option, if ice is available but no tub, place the person in a tarp or a sheet, cover the person with a large amount of ice, and then wrap the tarp or sheet around them. Replenish the ice as soon as a moderate degree of melting occurs. Remember to keep the tarp or the sheet off the nose or mouth to make sure the airway is clear. I will put all this information on our website, itchyandbitchy.com, as a blog. So if you want to review it, it will be there. So who is at highest risk for this happening? Adults age 65 or older, because they just don't sweat as much as younger people, and they tend to have decreased blood flow due to age and some health conditions. So the cooling mechanism of pushing blood flow to the skin doesn't work as well. Older adults who are physically fit have bodies that can cool down more than those elderly people who are not fit. So routine exercise to stay fit will help protect you in the heat. Those who have a physical job that requires strenuous activities or wearing heavy protective clothing in hot environments are at higher risk. Many factory workers work in buildings lacking air conditioning, and they often wear heavy clothing. Those who participate in strenuous sports outside in the heat, like long-distance running, or football players who practice in the summer and are wearing heavy gear. People who have obesity are at higher risk, or if you have a bad sunburn, because the skin just doesn't function right with a sunburn. Also, people who take certain medications, such as diuretics, which are designed to eliminate fluid from the body, beta blockers, which slow the heart rate so blood can't be redirected from the core to the skin as well, or people who take antihistamines, which have a drying effect on the body. So can we adapt to the new normal of hot temperatures? Are we going to be able to adapt to our changing world? Well, there is some research that shows the human body can adapt to heat. Researchers basically see this in extreme athletes who do long endurance exercise in high temperatures. Those people start their cooling mechanisms earlier, and their cardiac fitness allows the heart to more efficiently do what is needed to cool the body. So, it is possible to adapt physically, but not realistic to think that all people can do this, that all people can be athletes, extreme athletes, who do a lot of endurance training in high heat. We can't change the weather, and our planet is getting hotter and hotter. However, there are some practical behavioral methods we can implement to reduce the risk for heat exhaustion when it's hot outside. Stay in a cool place when the heat index climbs. If you don't have air conditioning at home, find out if there's a cooling center in your area. Also, public libraries, malls, and movie theaters are usually air conditioned and may provide some relief during the hottest parts of the day. Never, never, ever leave a child or a baby or a pet in a hot car, even for a few minutes. Don't do it. Temperatures in cars can rise rapidly. Wear lightweight and light-colored clothing. Dark colors attract and absorb heat, which can increase your body temperature. I really need to listen to this advice because I wear a lot of black. It was all those years of living in New York City, but I'm going to change my ways. Even better than just getting light-colored clothing and lightweight clothing, get that clothing that has high UPF to protect you from UV rays as well. Wear a lightweight sun hat if you're going to be in the sun. Keeping the sun off your head and face can help control your body temperature. Wear sunscreen when in the sun to avoid sunburn. Stay hydrated when it's hot outside. Your body can become dehydrated before you even notice signs. Keep a bottle of water with you and drink from it frequently. You can also keep something like Noon tabs, as I discussed earlier, to drop into your water bottle to provide electrolyte replacement when you're sweating. When it's hot outside, limit outdoor workouts to early morning or dusk, or consider joining a gym that has air conditioning. Swimming, which I love, is also a great way to get exercise when it's hot outside. As I said earlier, our world is heating up and we are seeing more and more heat-related deaths. So please, please keep yourself and your loved ones safe by using these measures so you can enjoy the warm weather months and prevent a heat stroke tragedy. Thank you for listening to and for sharing the podcast with others. I really appreciate it. And wherever you listen to this podcast, please leave a review and rate the podcast. Your reviews and ratings really matter. I encourage you to visit our Facebook page, IMB Podcast, where you can leave comments or questions for me. Our website is itchyandbitchy.com, where there are blogs with some of our subjects available for you to read. I have posted a blog with the information on what to do to address heat exhaustion and heat stroke if you want to review the information I just shared with you. On the Facebook page and website, we have the information about how to schedule an appointment with me so that you can chat with me about how my perimenopause course can help you if you're going through this phase in life. As always, thanks to Forrest Wenzel, our producer and composer of our theme music, and the person who does all the behind-the-scenes work to make this podcast possible. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Forrest. Next month, Forrest will be moving to Baltimore to attend the prestigious Peabody Music Conservatory, where he will begin his studies to receive a master's degree in music composition. I am so excited for and proud of him. He has kindly agreed to continue to produce the podcast from Baltimore so that the Itchy and Bitchy podcast continues. Check out his album called An Awful Lot. Go to wherever you stream your favorite music to listen. And if you do not know where to stream music, you can find the album on Apple Music or Spotify. Remember, your health is in your hands.